Today is the 1st of June and something really exciting has happened. I've just been given my allotment. I was expecting to be on a waiting list for years and years and years, but it hasn't happened, and I've just arrived for the first day today. So this is really exciting for me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and spin the camera around and let you have a look at what's here. So here's my jacket that's lying on one corner on the peg there, and then my allotment runs from here and then over to the peg in the corner and then around to this side. So I'm walking on it for the first time, and actually the soil doesn't feel that bad. It's been absolutely raining like hell for seems like forever. But now it's actually seems to be drying out pretty well and getting ready to be worked. I'm slightly unclear because I don't actually know if this is my allotment as well, along here. If it is, then obviously I'll love to work it, but I'm really not sure if it is or if it isn't. So my first task today is to basically get this brush up. All the brush that's on the floor, all the grass, anything that shouldn't be there, so all I get is really nice soil so that hopefully I can start planting as soon as possible. I'm not expecting a great deal this year. Look, there's some parsnips here that the previous owner has grown. I'm not expecting a great deal this year. If I can just get it so that the ground's workable, that would be brilliant. But you know what, it's June. I'm going to try and put some seeds in just to see what happens. It'll probably be a disaster, but yeah, you've got to try, haven't you? Anyway. Okay, here's my shovel, which my mother and father-in-law, my wife's mum and dad, were very kind enough to bring down with them as a kind of present for getting the allotment. They were all very excited when they heard about it. I think it comes from a shop called Proper Job, and it's going to be the tool that I use the most certainly this year, so I was very, very grateful to them for that. Next we've got my gardening gloves, which were £1 from Poundland. A while ago now, when I used to live in London, I had this tiny little courtyard garden, and I put all the planters, I've got lots of, they're called tub trugs, so I've got lots of those, filled them with compost, and I literally filled that little courtyard. I'd be lucky if it was 6 foot by 4 foot. It really was tiny, but I filled every part of it with these tub trugs, and I grew runner beans and tomatoes outside, and rocket and basil, and it was so much fun, and that's really why I'm doing this. But the reason I'm telling you all that is because at that stage, that's when I bought these gardening shoes that you can see here. So they're my gardening shoes that I'll be wearing. They're a few years old now, getting a bit tight actually. I don't know, are your feet supposed to grow as you get older? Not sure. Anyway, then I'm not even sure what this is called, but it's a little spike that you put into the ground when you want to make a hole to put the seeds in. That actually is my grandmother's. She used it for years and years and years, and she's been dead for a long time now. It's just been sat in storage for a couple of years, good few years. And found it and thought, oh yes, that's going to come in handy here. Likewise, over here, with the trowel and the little gardening fork and the secateurs, they're my grandmother's. I remember my grandmother, when I was a small child, I remember her getting those as a present one year, and she was really pleased with them, but they're really well made. There's a real sense of nostalgia when I'm using them, because my grandfather and my grandmother were both keen gardeners, and it'd be really nice if I could carry on that tradition. Similarly, there's this little green stool. It flips over, and you can kneel on it when you're weeding and doing things like that, or this way round, I can lay things on it, or indeed I can sit down when I need a little rest or a little bite to eat, and you can see I've got my sandwich box there that my lovely wife made for me, who I love very much actually, and my bottle of orange juice for when I get dehydrated. So that's the tools I'm going to be using. That's probably enough of an introduction to everything. I've got all this to do, so I should probably get started. Hopefully I can show you some progress later on. Cheers. I've been digging and met a couple of my allotment neighbours and fellow association members. One of them just was telling me about the previous owner, and she said, I'll give you a tip, because I've been digging away. And so she said, dig where you're standing backwards, not where you're standing forwards. Because if you dig where you're standing forwards, you'll compact everything and tread on everything you've just dug. And she's absolutely right, and she probably thinks I'm a complete idiot, which I probably am. I am clueless, I know nothing. The most I've ever had is a courtyard garden in Camden Town, and now I've got an allotment in the countryside. So every day you're going to be learning. That's just one of the little tips that's been given to me. So I'll carry on and show you what I get done in the end. Cheers. Probably better if I explain it actually. That the grass lays very heavily on the ground, and it's sort of like a mat all weaved in together. So if I try and dig down sort of where the matting is, it's a lot harder than if I sort of like come under it, moving forward. So even though it's a good tip, I'm not sure it's actually sort of, it solves one problem, but probably is going to take me longer or give me another. So I think the thing to do is sort of like dig it once, get it clear of the grass and the weeds and all the plants, and then dig it again so that it loosens it up. And this time, once it's clear, I'm just digging earth, and so I use my shovel and come backwards. And the other thing that was suggested to me is it'll be easier to use a fork, and that's absolutely right, except the one that I ordered from Amazon doesn't arrive until Monday. Today's Saturday, so as right as she is, it doesn't matter whether she's right or not, because I haven't got one. Although she has said that other people let people borrow their tools. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with borrowing somebody else's tools before I've met them. But it does seem to be a community spirit. There's somebody else I've met who is a couple of plots over, and she's just started last week, so she's only a week ahead of me, and we're all clearing stuff together. Anyway, back on with the work. I'll talk to you in a bit. So what I'm doing is I'm digging over the ground and starting to get about halfway across one plot now, and then taking off the very top sort of 1.5 to 2 inches to remove all the grass that's matted on top. People have said to me sort of, you can use a rotavator, but what I understand is that if you use a rotavator, what it does is it chops up all that grass and it gets distributed back in the soil, and it just comes back later in the year. So I thought, even though this is a considerably slower process, that if I did this so that the soil and the root ball of the grass were carefully separated, and what I leave behind is mostly soil. I mean, there's always going to be a bit that blows back, you can see it now, but actually most of it has been taken off. Compare that to over here, which is what I've still to do. So there's a lot more grass here than here, which hopefully means that I'm not going to have the weeds. So that's the way I'm doing it this way. Also, I'm fairly convinced that I'm so late in the season that I'm not going to be able to get much in the way of produce. So the thing I should focus on is really making sure that the ground is right. Whether that's the right decision or not, I don't know. Ultimately, I guess we'll find out when later in the year, if you come back and it's overrun with weeds, in which case all this effort I'm putting in is completely wasted and would have been easier to use a rotavator. It's an experiment. I have no idea if it'll work or not. It'll be fun trying, but back to work we go. It's coming towards the end of the day now, 6 o'clock. There's still sunlight, but I think that probably on a Saturday there are better places to be at 6 o'clock, and some of them serve alcohol. So I'm going to pack it in here. That's day one on the allotment. Let me just show you what we've done, which actually isn't a lot. We've started to create a bed going along here, digging it through. So it's gone almost right to the edge of my allotment here. This is my neighbour's allotment. So almost the edge here, you know, well over 2/3 of the way along to the end of my plot. And you see this grass here, that's how it all looked. Now what is interesting is that I've been having lots of little conversations with other allotment holders today as the new boy. Now this down here, this is wild garlic, and it's apparently ready to go to seed. So tomorrow I'm going to hopefully come back so that I'll finish this bed, and I'll plant some of the seeds that I've got, and I'll show you about those tomorrow. But also what I'm hoping to do is to pick this wild garlic, because garlic is one of the things that I can plant now, and it'll go through the winter, because I've probably missed the growing season this year. So that's it from me. I've had a wonderful time going through this soil by hand, pulling out the weeds, getting it to as hopefully good a state as I possibly can, and that's been really good for me, to be able to just switch off and work the land. So that was fun. I hope you've had as good a day as I have. I hope to see you again very soon for allotment day 2. Thanks a lot. Bye.